Hello, third graders. I'm here with the Jumbies. Today, we are going to be reading chapters 28 to 31. All right, chapter 28, Separate Ways. The four left the swamp and made their way along the coast, away from the witch's shack. The river had mercifully washed most of the swamp stench from their clothes and hair, and the sun was beginning to dry them off. None of them spoke. Corrine noticed that Drew hung back a little from the group. She stopped suddenly and turned around to face Drew. "What are you doing?" Corrine asked. "Nothing," Drew said softly. "Why aren't you walking with the rest of us?" "I'm walking." "Not with us." "I'm right behind you," Drew protested. She pulled a long lock of hair to the front and began to play with it. Balki and Malik turned to look at the girls. Malik nudged his brother, and Balki rolled his eyes to the sky. Corrine asked, "Are you trying to keep an eye on me? Do you think I'm going to work some kind of magic on you?" "No," Drew said, though she didn't seem too sure. "You think I'm just like Severin or the Dewins, who took your friend away. You're afraid of me now, aren't you?" "I'm not scared," Drew said. "You're scared of everything," Corrine said. "I am not," Drew insisted, but her lip began to quiver, so she bit on it. "I came with you to see the witch, didn't I? You stayed the closest to the door the entire time, and as soon as the witch said when she said what I was, you wanted to get away from me. Well, now's your chance. Go, I don't need you." Corrine's eyes began to sting with tears, so she blinked them back and stared Drew down while she waited to see what her friend would do. Drew looked from Corrine to the brothers and then back to Corrine again. She clenched her fists. "Everything is happening because of you. You are the one she wants, not us." "You don't know what you're talking about, Drew," Corrine said. "I wish we had never met. I wish I had never even laid eyes on you." Drew ran through the waves towards her village. Her long hair blew behind her. "You pushed her away," Balki said to Corrine. "Why did you have to go on and do that?" Corrine took one look at Malik's face as he watched Drew run off, and she slumped over with her hands balled into fists on her knees. The tears she had tried to hold back flowed down her face. "You can go too," Corrine said. "I would get away from this mess if I could." "That's exactly why we are staying," Balki said. "You can't do everything for yourself." "I don't have any choice. My papa can't take care of me anymore. I have to take care of him. There's no one else to do it." "No, there's one less," Balki said. "You had 3 of us. Now you have 2. You see what happened to my papa. You heard what the witch said. The people around me, the ones who try to protect me, they will always get hurt. Even the witch. Who knows what will happen next? Don't you see? I have to work alone." Malik shook his head. "What would you like me to tell her, brother?" Balki said, sounding exasperated. "She wants to go it alone. It's not like I can force her to let us help." "It's better this way, Malik," Corrine said. "You'll be safe." Malik shook his head again and stared at her with determination. Balki tried to ignore him. "So what are you going to be able to do by yourself then?" he asked. Corrine pulled herself up and took a deep breath. "I'm going to do exactly what I should have done in the first place. I'm going to climb the cliff and get my mama's necklace back." "And then what?" "You should have seen the look on Severin's face when she touched that stone and it burned her hand. There is something about it. I'm going to figure it out." "What if it doesn't work? Better to fight it out like we did last night. It's the only way." "It isn't, Balki. I know the stone will help. I can just feel it inside me like the witch said. When I had the necklace, I felt strong. I don't anymore. And why would Severin take it away if it wasn't important? It's the last night and my last chance, so it's time for a real plan. Severin knows exactly what she's doing. By dark tonight, we need to know exactly what we're doing too. And my mama's necklace is step 1. She gave the boys a firm nod. Malik clapped her back in agreement. Corrine gazed out at the water. "I will need to row out to the cliff, but that fisherman, Victor, he will try to stop me if he sees me. The others might too." Corrine looked at Balki and Malik. "What's that look?" Balki asked. "What do you want us to do about a whole village full of fishermen?" Malik nudged his brother. All right, we can distract the fishermen, Balky said. We will find a way. Excitement tingled on Corrine's skin from her toes all the way up to her scalp, now that they had a plan. But the weight of the events of the day felt heavy inside her. She could not imagine going it alone. Tears burned in her eyes again. Thank you, she said. Balky patted her on the shoulder. It would help more if there were 3 of us. He looked down the coast. Drew was long gone. Corrine's jaw tightened. She wanted to go, she said, but her eyes flicked down the coast too. Anyway, she has a whole family who will be sorry if something happens to her. Yet another advantage of being on your own, Balky replied. Each syllable of "on your own" pricked at Corrine's heart. But she had to concentrate on what needed to be done. So how are you going to distract the fisherman? Malik pointed to his feet, then made a low peek over his head with his hands. Balky smiled and nodded. Don't worry, we have an idea. Chapter 29, Disguised. While everyone in the villages were still cleaning up from the night before, Balky went over to a clothesline behind a house and pulled off a pair of long men's pants. Then he and Malik crossed through some fields to the other side of the island and into the cave. Balky whittled dry coconut husks into sandals with backward feet. Malik put on the long pants with the sandals on too. He looked just like a Duin. One last thing, Balky said. He took some dried coconut leaves and wove them into a round hat with a point in the middle for his brother to wear. It was deep enough to cover down to his chin. Malik walked around with his arms in front of him and whined. You don't need to say anything, Balky explained. I'll be dragging you the whole time. He cut open 2 fresh coconuts that they had picked up at the beach earlier in the day. He gave one to his brother, and they drank the sweet coconut water and ate the white jelly in silence. It's time to go, Balky said when they had finished. Malik's stomach growled. Nothing else tonight, brother. This is war. There's no time to eat during war. Malik whimpered. Tomorrow those things will be gone, and Corrine's father will bring us the biggest fish in his catch. It will be so big, it will fill us up for 3 days. Malik held his stomach and moaned. Would you rather have nothing in your belly for 1 day, or be the thing in a Jumbies belly? Malik dropped his hands to his side and puffed out his chest. All right then, brother, let's go. Chapter 30, The Seed. Corrine needed to give the brothers time to get ready. She went to her house, hoping to find that something had changed and there was some way to get in and save her father. The vines seemed even more tightly wrapped around the house, so that it was impossible to see anything past them. She circled, looking for some chink that led inside, but there was no visible opening. And as she moved, the vines shifted as if they were watching her. Corrine left reluctantly and made her way towards the sea. The sky burned orange, her mama's favorite time of day, and for a moment she remembered her mama's smiling face, and a flicker of happiness lit up inside of her. She wanted to get started. Where were those boys? They needed to hurry. She found a thick grove of coconut trees and hid among them. The tide was in, and the waves pushed foamy brine around her, tugging at her hands and feet, trying in vain to pull her into the sea. She felt the last rays of the sun on her skin and the cool water as it lapped her body. A song her mama used to sing drifted into her mind. La Serene, la Baleine, mon chapeau, tum à la mer. La Serene, la Baleine, mon chapeau, dum à la mer. Maybe. But Corrine knew that there was no mermaid or whale that could come up to help her as they did in her mama's song. If the plan was to work, it was mostly up to her alone. Corrine shoved her hands into her pockets, hoping she had put some fruit in there, but all she came up with was the witch's seed. Only now, instead of just 2 halves of the seed, there was a little green shoot sprouting from one side and a spiderweb thin root shooting out of the other. Corrine held up her palm to get a better look. She frowned at the little plant that had suddenly appeared. Then she snorted in disgust. The witch's magic was strong enough to make this broken seed grow, but she had still refused to help Corrine fight Severin and the other Jumbies. Corrine tossed the plant into the surf. A wave brought it back to her. Papa was right. The seed doesn't keep anything. With the sound of her voice, the plant grew a little more. Before Corrine could take a closer look, another wave pulled the tiny plant back out to sea. Chapter 31, The Boy's Plan. Malik stumbled behind Balki in the Duin costume. Balki parted the bushes and helped his brother through so no one would see them before they had a chance to create their distraction. The scent of freshly baked loaves was strong as they passed the bakery. Malik paused, but Balki shuffled him along. He led Malik past the nearly empty market and edged the road towards a small patch of trees near the dry well, across from the mahogany forest. They needed to get close enough to the fishing village so everyone would hear them scream, but far enough to get them all away and give Corrine her chance. Someone small appeared on the bend and walked towards them. When Balki stepped out to greet her, Drew jumped back with surprise. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I was looking for you." "No, you're looking for Corrine," Balki corrected. "She isn't with us. She's going to climb the cliff to get her mother's necklace." "You let her go?" Drew asked. "No one can climb that cliff." Her hair had been rebraided, and now she unbraided and rebraided the ends of it again. Balki shrugged. Who could stop her? We're her distraction so the fishermen won't get in her way. He waved to Malik, who stepped out from behind the tree. Drew gasped. "How did you do this?" "My ingenuity," Balki said proudly. Malik kicked him. "Ow!" Well, okay, it was a joint effort. He rubbed his skin. "We're going to pretend that I captured my brother back from the Duins. Everyone from the village will come running. That will give her some time to push out to sea." "But there are Jumbies in the forest," Drew said. "What about them? If she makes it to the top of the cliff, won't they come out of the forest to get her?" She bit her lip. "What else can we do? There are only two of us." "I'll do it. I'll make sure nothing will be looking towards the cliff. No one will see her." "Alone? How?" I'll think of something. She needs my help," Drew said. "Even though she's part Jumbie?" Balki asked. "What would your mother say?" Drew said nothing. She only unbraided and rebraided her hair. "She'll be killed climbing the cliff," said Balki, "and you'll be killed going into the forest alone, and we'll be kidnapped by the Duins and never seen again. This is an excellent plan." "At least we would have tried," Drew said. Balki smiled with approval and looked at Drew as if he was just seeing her for the first time, and liked what he saw. "Well, we better get to it, then. The sun is nearly gone. The half-Jumbie will need her distraction soon," Balki said. Malik sighed. The smell of warm bread drifted to them in the wind. Balki was sorry that he would never steal from the baker again, and he shuddered to think of what Duins ate for dinner. Oh man, I hope their plan works. We'll be back tomorrow with the next 2 chapters.